So today I want to talk about something that I did for the month of March, which I'm calling Money March. Basically, just try to be as cheap as you can in certain ways, whether that's eating cheap or other ways. I've got about 8 tips and tricks or themes to share with you guys today on this one. Obviously, you don't have to do it for a whole month. You could do it for 6 months, I guess, if you really wanted to. But the focus is that if you can at least, let's say, do it for a month, you won't miss out on too much. You're not depriving yourself of too much, but you will be able to save a bit of extra money. And it's those habits that, let's say you're someone who spends a lot of money, you incorporate some of these for a month, you'll drastically bring down the future months because you realize like how cheap it is to do X, or you shouldn't be doing this too much, etc. So stay tuned for today's video. Alright, so the first one I want to talk about is raid your cupboard, pantry, and freezer for food. This sounds kind of straightforward, and it's also kind of like, well, you already paid for the food, so does it really count as being cheap, blah blah blah. No doubt you've got something in your freezer that you haven't eaten for a while and you probably just should eat. Probably also stuff in your pantry too, like some leftover pasta or pasta sauce, or just even some rice, something like that. Even the cupboard, like, you've got some biscuits from a while ago, like that they're unopened, or packets of chips or cookies or things like that, chocolates. You can turn those things into little snacks or meals. Even if you did that, like it's one meal a day for a week, like where you cut out one meal for one of these like combination snacks, or as people call it, girl dinner. I would like to say boy dinner is like kind of the same thing, but you just like add more protein. So for an example, I grabbed a couple of things that I had left over in the freezer, like some crumbed fish and I think some hash browns or potato gems. Whacked those into the air fryer. I had some leftover like ends of the bread loaf because I don't like that part for breakfast. So I would just make that as toast and put some spread on it. I'm sure you've got some spread lying around, peanut butter, honey, Nutella, Biscoff, something like that. Even just margarine or butter and just like toast. Have a couple of pieces of toast, and that's a pretty like decent dinner in terms of like keeping you satiated, and it's cheap and it's easy and all that kind of stuff. But then if you want to make it like a boy dinner, have like a protein shake with it. Like, you might even have some supplements lying around as well, like some protein that you didn't particularly like. Just have it with something else. Just like maybe knock out the protein shake that you didn't like, let's say, like just guzzle it down, and then have the toast with the Biscoff or Nutella or something like that, or the crumbed fish, or whatever it is that's in your fridge, freezer, pantry, or cupboard. Alright, so the next one is bringing drinks in rather than buying them when you're at a nightclub or festival. You buy these yogurt pouches that are about 140 or 150 milliliters in size. You obviously empty them out, clean them out. You get your choice of spirit, probably vodka or gin or something like that. Pour it into the yogurt pouch. Pretty self-explanatory. Smuggle it in your pants. Now you've got about 5 shots that you can add to a drink that you will have to buy a drink, unless you just want to drink it straight and be like some crazy madman. But you buy like a vodka Red Bull or whatever, and then you spike it with a bit more vodka. Now it's a triple vodka Red Bull, and you buy 2 of those or 3 of those, whatever, and instead of spending like, I don't know, over $100, you're probably spending like $50-$60. So you're cutting that down in half, but you're still having fun too. Sure, you got to pay for the vodka that like you have to put into the pouch, but everyone knows it's exceedingly cheap compared to when you buy a drink out somewhere. I'm not saying that you should do this all the time either, but it's one way to still have fun and go out, but also reduce the kind of overall expense for the evening or the day or whatever it is. Even if you're going to go somewhere like to the beach, so like let's not say not even a nightclub, alcoholic kind of setting, just bring a bottle of water or a bottle of iced tea or soft drink or something that you've got from the fridge. Even if you stop off at Woolies and buy like a Coke for like a couple of bucks, it's probably better than if you're going to buy a drink somewhere near the beach. It's going to cost you a bit more. Or you want a coffee when you get there, just make an instant coffee and bring it with you, rather than having to buy a barista coffee that you're paying like $5 or $6 for. I know that sounds pretty frugal, but a couple of these things you can do and they can add up like quite decently. Okay, so the next one is socialize on the cheap. So whether that's going for a picnic instead of eating out. So you're going to buy a couple of things like some cheese board, crackers and dips or whatever. You're going to share that with you and your friend or friends multiple, rather than going out to eat and you all spend like $30 on dinner plus drinks, all this kind of stuff. You can go to the shops, probably spend $30 and get a decent kind of experience as well, while the weather's still nice, going out, getting some sun, getting a variety of different things. Especially if there's like 3 or 4 people or whatever, instead of everyone spending $30 on their meal or more, for $60 you can probably get something pretty decent. Like even a pre-made charcuterie board or something like that from Coles or Woolies. And you can bring a bottle of cheap wine, something like that. Now it's getting pretty cool. It's getting pretty fun. Another example is to just have a Netflix in night rather than going to the movies. I don't know if anyone really goes to the movies much anymore. And it's the whole experience going to the movies and that kind of stuff. But like, you can buy some cool popcorn, like flavors and stuff like that. Make it in the microwave, pretty easy enough. Let's say I've already watched everything that I have on Netflix and Stan or whatever. Go get like a free trial for like Paramount or Disney or something like that. Even if you only use it for the weekend, you're watching some new movies that like new to you or whatever. And vastly cheaper. Like the movie tickets now, I haven't been for years, but I'm pretty sure they're like at least $20 a ticket, and that's like on the cheaper end per person. Add popcorn, all this kind of stuff. Probably spending like $80 when you go to the movies for like 2 people. Even if you had to pay for 1 month of a streaming platform, so you can watch a specific movie or whatever, $15. Plus that gives you 4 weekends, not just one. But sure, let's say for one, $15, some popcorn, $20. Ooh. $80 into $20 now. You just save $60. Now, if the whole like theme of the where you live or whatever doesn't seem to be like as nice and like, oh, I'd rather go out, guys can still get kind of dressed up like as you would for the movies. Put a candle on, change the lighting to kind of make it seem like it's a bit different. Even like for the long run, if you want to buy like a sound bar for like $200, vastly improve your kind of home theater experience, as they used to say. Now it's just kind of standard, but there's a way you can definitely save some money. Another example is actually to have a games night and just or just chill with your friends. Instead of going out somewhere like to drink or nightclub, or you're gonna go bowling or like paintball, laser tag, or like go-karts or something like that. Like those are all fun and cool to do, but every now and then sometimes it's cool to just hang out with like one of your friends or multiple friends at someone's house and reminisce on the good days or talk about your hopes and dreams, whatever floats your goat. And let's say that like, oh well, we're not really like kind of the talking people. You get a board game that you have like at your parents' house, or that you've got here, or that your mate has, something like that. Even if you got to play Uno for a couple of hours, like it's still pretty fun. You can drink too. It will be cheaper because you're bringing your drinks, and you'll still have a good time. I don't think you're gonna really feel like you're missing out on anything. And even if you do that, like one week out of the month instead of going out every single week, just saving some money, saving yourself some hassle in terms of going out, things like that. And it's kind of more quality time, I find, with my friends too. If you know me, I'm a big proponent of just the one-on-one hangouts, just to kind of actually get to talk genuinely, really about what's going on in your life. And talk is cheap. It's literally free. Our next one is to drive and go sober rather than drinking and catching an Uber. It's pretty self-explanatory. You save money on drinks, you save money on Uber. Some people will say, oh, it's not as fun, and like, I don't know how you can do a rave sober or an event or whatever it is. Trust me, you can. There's also other benefits other than saving money. You'll probably wake up feeling a lot better than if you drank heaps or did some other stuff. Your wallet will definitely thank you, but that's the main point. But besides that point, you'll be more consistent with your goals. You'll probably sleep earlier. Your body's going to be in a healthier state. So if you've got fitness goals that you're trying to work on, you're more likely to go to the gym the next day than if you got like super smashed the night before and went to bed at like 5 a.m. or whatever. Instead, you went to bed at like 1 a.m. So it's got other benefits, but you will also save so much money in terms of buying drinks and like catching an Uber. Another perk of driving and going sober as well is like you can drive your friends. So like sometimes I'll get you food after, or they might pay for your parking, because if they're gonna spend on an Uber and you just pick them up instead, even if they give you half of what they were gonna pay for the Uber, they're ahead, you're ahead. It works out for everyone. So the next one could be a bit controversial, but it's avoid driving far and having others come to you instead for the month. I'm a very like tit for tat kind of person, so like if I come and see you one time, I kind of expect you to come and see me the next time. That can bank up. Maybe you see them 2 or 3 times in a row, and maybe they only come once in a blue moon, and that's like the dynamic and you're happy with that. But if you got a friend that lives maybe like 45 minutes away or whatever, and you're always going to seeing them and driving and spending like, a couple of bucks on petrol, this and that, maybe toll roads, get them to come and see you for a change. It's only fair, and that can definitely save you on some transportation costs for sure, as well as the time. Okay, so the next one is also food related, but it's not about eating all the leftover stuff that you have, but it's just about eating cheap in general. So whether that's toast and spread for breakfast, rice and tuna for lunch, or oats and cinnamon as a dessert, or even for dinner. These are all relatively healthy foods, and they're always very inexpensive. Buy a whole loaf of bread for maybe like $3 or $4. A spread that you buy for $5 might last you months and months. Rice and tuna, let's say you want to actually buy the rice and cook it yourself, it's incredibly cheap. Tuna you can get for like under $2 a can. The cheapest that I get is $1.10 at the moment, and that comes with a flavor as well. You just put the tuna and the rice together, you got protein, you got all your kind of macros met, you got some flavor, it's great. Oats and cinnamon, you buy a cinnamon powder or a cocoa powder or even protein powder, relatively inexpensive versions of all of these things, and oats is super cheap. You buy like a kilo of it for like $3 or $4. And alright, you can have it with water, you can have it with like almond milk, you can have it with real milk, whatever floats your goat. That's a number 2 on the goat counter for this episode. But yeah, like there's plenty of things that you can do for cheap. These are just some examples. Pasta is cheap as well. Like, there's plenty of things that you can do. And like I said, if you're trying to do the bro dinner, you can always have like some cheap real food and then have like a protein shake or protein bar or something on the side to make sure that you're meeting your macronutrient contents for the day. Alright, now this is one that I've noticed starting my new job, which no one seems to do at this office except for me, so I'm like kind of like the strange odd one out for some reason, is bring your lunch instead of buying it. Like sure, it's cool to go out and eat lunch every day and get something new every day, all this kind of stuff. Tried this place, tried that place, blah blah blah. You go with someone, now it's social. You're probably spending like at least $15 on lunch, and that's on the cheaper end. Like if you bring stuff, like I said, like with the rice and tuna, 2 tuna and a rice, and it's like the pre-made rice in the cups, you're spending like $5 on all 3 of those things rather than at least 15. If your workplace has soft drink or like tea or you just like water or whatever, you've already got all of that there too. You don't have to go buy like a Coke for $4 with your lunch. So highly underrated, probably one that most of you already know, but it surprises me how many people still just buy their lunch all the time. Even if you do it for a month and then you go back to buying your lunch, like I said, if you can save like $10 a day and you're in the office 4 times a week, that's $40 a week. For the month, that's $160. And you're still eating healthy. And realistically, when it comes to like work lunch, like you only get a short amount of time. You're going to be hungry, so you're just going to eat whatever anyway. You can have a nice dinner, be cheaper at lunch, have a nicer dinner. Alright, and the last one, don't hate me guys, it's catch public transport instead of driving. Now living in Sydney, public transport kind of sucks, at least where I live, but you can do a kind of combination here. So another thing I noticed for my workplace, a lot of people drive to work. Driving's great, you get to leave when you want, all this kinds of stuff. Downside is you got to pay for parking, you got to pay for petrol, and if you want to get there quicker, you got to pay for tolls. So I calculated how much it costs me to get to work if I drive without tolls, but I have to pay for parking, if I drive with tolls and parking, or if I drive to a train station and then just catch the train in. Time wise, I save a bit of time obviously by driving and then more time with the tolls, but I pretty much have half of the expense if I just drive to the train station and catch the train. And it's, like talking about like an extra 15 minutes each way or something like that, so an extra half an hour a day, a couple times a week. But realistically, it's also like better time. Like I can read a book on the train, I can just chill out, I can like fall asleep if I want to. Whereas I'm driving, I gotta pay attention to a lot of things, and I can listen to music or a podcast, but that's kind of about it, Can't even go on my phone and catch up on messages or emails or do some online training, or there's an endless array of things that you can do when you're on the train or bus rather than driving. And you're saving money in the process. So that's highly underrated. And that's my last tip for this video. So let me know in the comments which of these you already do and which of these you're actually keen to do. Like I said, you do it for a month and you save some money. For me, it was money march madness.